Gotta make sure my jaw is on properly. How are we doing? Are we up? Are we up on all the platforms? There's YouTube. Let me make sure I can be heard on YouTube. Okay, yeah, sure. Twitch? And Mixer. Oh, Mixer needs me to click on a different thing. Yep, I can hear myself on all three, so we're actually live. This is not the actual stream though. This is me screwing around before the stream. So let me make it so I can actually see if people are chatting. Actually, what I need to do is I wanted to just make a little bit of progress with my community before getting started with the stream proper. Cause I haven't really played this myself in a while. I've had like all the other people playing this sucker, and I have not actually gotten in there. And you know, it's my community. It's my responsibility. Hey, hey, there's Jesse Baker saying that we can be heard on YouTube. Thank you, appreciate that. Brodekin, feel free to ask as many questions as you like. I will do my best to keep up with them and answer you. We've also, later on at 2 o'clock when we do the proper stream, we're going to have Robin Crew on here. Oh, I need to actually, she is shorter than Joe Sorner, so I need to make sure this is set up right. I guess this is okay. This camera is a disaster, but this camera isn't even supposed to be pointing that direction. In fact, maybe, I don't know, I just want to be able to see myself, make sure everything's working right. But yeah, so the proper stream is going to start at 2 o'clock. I'm just doing some catch-up with my community, because when I leave other people in charge of my community during these streams, I completely forget what's going on with them, so I should catch up a little bit. Let's see here. Okay, so Brodekin asks, when will we get new story DLC? Not weapons or cosmetics, because there's nothing new to do. I loved State of Decay 1 Yo's. It was amazing. I have nothing but respect for you all. Thank you. So first of all, thank you for saying all those nice things. And Brodekin, we have talked about how we're going to be returning to Trumbull Valley at some point later this week. We haven't given any details on that, but it is definitely more than just a, oh, come on, really? It is definitely more than just a, like a weapon pack or something like that, or even a map pack. We're putting some effort into that, guys. So I can't make you any promises about exactly what's in it, but we are definitely, we're hearing that concern. And so sometime later this year, you might, if things go well, might get something along the lines of what you're looking for. But again, no promises. We are not anywhere near done with the stuff we're talking about making there. But you're not the only one who's asked us for more story and for more, you know, single-player content, and so we're looking for that. Hey there. So okay. Because Gamers, is that how you pronounce your name? You just told me bonsoir, and I love seeing all of your tweets about, you know, our game in French and things like that, but I always feel kind of ashamed that I'm not exactly certain how to pronounce your name. I assume that it means biker gamer in English, but maybe I'm misreading that. Let's see here. I've got some, my window, sorry, I got the wrong window in the wrong place here, so there we go. I couldn't read all of the chat. Oh, Christopher Arocha says, I'm digging State of Decay 2. I just got it 2 weeks ago. Cool, so a lot of the folks that we interact with on the stream here are people who've been playing the game for like nearly a year. And so I love getting new people in here and hearing you guys' perspectives and seeing that the game's audience is still growing. Hey, Sarkov, good to see you here. Josh McCann wants to know, can we expect new Zombie Freaks? We're making no new promises. In fact, I feel awkward about even answering the previous question from Brodekin. So, not making any promises about that, but at the same time, I will say that we have heard you guys and we want that stuff as badly as you do. It's just, the reason I'm hesitating to make promises is because we're still, you know, early in development on some of the stuff that we're working on. And so you never quite know how things are going to go. You might think, as a game developer, you might think you know what you're going to be putting out there in, you know, however many months. But you could be, you know, at this early stage, it's so easy to be wrong. I'm terrified to say we're going to do this, that, or the other, because, you know, it would just be so easy for me to get something wrong and then be embarrassed, you know, and have you guys feel like we misled you. And that's definitely not something we want to do. Honda Deluxe asks if we're going to put in an ATV. We haven't announced any plans for additional vehicles. Oh, wait. This crossbow is probably not going to be great against that helmet. It knocked him down. Oh, no. Oh, I didn't get to him fast enough. That wasn't too bad. Death Hour suggests that we should have Blood Plague Juggernauts in the regular game. Oh, that's an interesting idea. We'll have to see what developments might be coming in the future. Daniel Falucha? Is it Faluca or Falucha? He says, what about a Humvee? Yeah, that's, you know, I feel like some of our, like, apocalypse vehicles have kind of serve almost the same role as a Humvee. The question is, are you hoping for a Humvee that has a machine gun attached, mounted in the turret spot in the top? Because I'm betting that's probably a little more feature creep than we can manage. Xbox Exclusives News says Monster Truck. Okay, you. I mean, yeah, that sounds great. I think might be stretching it a little bit there. Sonic Boom asks, will you add any new character models? So. I will just caution everyone, the chances of me being able to answer questions about what's coming in the future, it's just very, very slim. We are thinking about, you know, we've got access to more resources to make our characters look different. The question is whether we're going to have the right manpower available at the right time to put that stuff in the game, because like the DLC that we're working on, you know, the future updates to the game that we're working on that we've already announced, it takes a lot of time and a lot of work, and so we've been putting a lot of effort into it, and it's hard to sort of figure out, you know, exactly how to balance that. Because for instance, if you guys wanted more freaks, those would be made by the same people who would be making more outfits for characters, and so we probably would have a lot of trouble doing both at once, at least doing both at once very quickly. And so what you'll end up with is maybe one of those, maybe the other, or maybe both, but it takes longer, or maybe neither because they're doing something else. I don't know. Definitely not making any promises there, but those are the kinds of calculations that we have to do, right? Because because we want this game to be huge and to be awesome, and we want all the stuff in it that you guys want in it. But we always have to make those delicate trade-offs, right? Freddie, no new news on the map. So yeah, I don't have anything new. Really, there will be no new announcements on this on this stream. One thing we are going to do is we're going to get to know one of our QA testers who also is an artist in the comics industry, and she's really cool. So you guys get to meet her. We're going to do a giveaway, State of Decay pins, so that'll be fun. And we're just going to play the game a bit and chat. And we got some questions from social media we're going to answer. We got questions from you guys, of course, we're going to answer. Let's see here. Nathan Wolf has 2 logistics questions. Survivor pool maintenance. I know it was mentioned previously. Any update? Man, I want to talk about things. I can't talk about that. Sorry, Nathan. But very, very soon you might know more about what we're thinking about along those lines. Sarkov Haven says, allow us to name characters and communities so we don't have to edit the save files. So right now, our game has no text entry in it whatsoever, and that is such a breath of fresh air for everyone who would have to solve all of the problems that come with text entry. So I understand the desire. It's hard for me to make a case for it, though, when somebody would be like, oh man, we have to handle text entry? Really? There's so many disasters that come with that. So Jazzy Noop says that when we upped the difficulty, we went bananas on it. So that's funny because we have not actually done our official upping of the difficulty yet. The game, we did add larger hordes with the last minor update that we did, but we did not actually do our official difficulty increasing update. Like, that is still in the future. So Christopher Orocha asks, what is the cap of recruitment for the home base? It actually varies. There are certain missions that let you go over it, go over the normal cap, because if we didn't let you do that, the game would break. But I think the usual limit is, what was it? Is it 8? And then you can sort of sneakily get up to about 11. I think it's, if I'm remembering right, I believe that's what it is. Somebody can correct me if I'm wrong. It could be 9 and 12. It might be 9 and 12. It's separated by 3. I don't remember if it's 9 and 12 or 8 and 11. But it's in there somewhere. Danny Silva asks, why is the game exclusive to Xbox? Because it is published by Microsoft, and the IP is owned by Microsoft. And part of, like, when people are engaging in, when you're looking at, like, say, the console war, and Sony and Microsoft and Nintendo all competing to be the dominant console in the marketplace, one of the main weapons in that war is, which is, it's more of a friendly competition than a war, but one of the main weapons is exclusive games. And so Microsoft, this is an exclusive game, and it's very valuable for them to have an experience on the Xbox that you can't have anywhere else. And they own this, and so they get to decide that. So Terry David says the game is too easy, and that he or she hopes that there is an additional difficulty increase coming. And yes, there is one. We can't talk about any details of that, but it is definitely coming. Okay, so what I wanted to do, build a sniper tower. That seems valuable. And then the Gleaners, give them a generator. Ooh, a mysterious broadcast. Let's do a mysterious broadcast mission. Juggernaut, you can just F right off. I'm not fighting you. Punisher asks, what is my favorite base? So I've got a special place in my heart for the Bridge Fort. I know that it's not actually the most powerful or large or efficient base, but it is so cute. And it was also one of the first bases that we made. And, oh wait, is that... Oh, there's a freaking feral out there. I don't have a lot of options here. Okay, let's just not do this. Definitely not do this. Oh, sheesh. Just a second, guys. Apparently, some idiot increased the horde size late in the game. I don't know who did that. It might have been me. So I guess I reap what I sow, huh? Okay, well, anyway. Looks like there's one more around. Who is this? Where is this other zombie? Whatever. He's hiding. He's a wimp zombie. There he is. Oh, it's a lady. Why am I calling it him? Sarkot says, I want to see you knife the Juggernaut, CQC style. So that would be great if I was good at this game, but unfortunately, working on a game does not make you good at the game. So it gives you lots of opportunities to practice, but it doesn't give you the inherent talent. Earlier, Biku's Gamers asked me if I speak French, and they asked it in French, so I think I just proved that I speak a little bit of French. I don't speak very much, though. I learned French in high school in the... Oh, hello? There we go. That's right. Anyway, I learned it in school in the American South. And so that's kind of like not learning it. Because I went to high school in North Carolina, and, we barely had money for paper at my school. And so, I didn't expect to get a really great education, so my French is very spotty. I can sort of decipher stuff that's written down. I can't understand people speaking French, and I definitely, I'm not very good at speaking it myself. The one phrase that I made sure I learned was je ne parle qu'un peu de français, which I think means I only speak a little French. So I would say that to anyone who tried to speak French to me. Josh McCann said, I just unlocked a Daybreak Round 5 achievement in just a few minutes. Oh, yeah, let's see here. Okay, people are saying that they can't wait for the difficulty setting for the new map, that they appreciate the new hordes. Well, I'm glad you guys are happy with a lot of the stuff we've been doing. We spent a lot of time and effort trying to keep pushing this game to live up to its potential. And, you know, we're going to keep working on it for a while. Eventually, at some point in the future, we're going to need to start working on the next game in the franchise. But for right now, I'm really enjoying the process of figuring out how this game can get better and better, and listening to you guys' feedback on what you're looking for and trying our best to provide it. Okay, so it looks like I picked up a new crossbow. I've got a fancy knife and a note. I don't need a note. So just in case you were wondering, if anyone, sometimes we get questions. People ask, you know, what do you do with notes? This is what you do with notes. You drop them on the ground and you stomp on them. And then you leave and you forget they were ever there. Death Hour asks for more unique backpacks. You know, that's pretty interesting. I wonder if, let me think about that. I don't know what our options are necessarily. Oh, Feral, get the crap away from me, you monster. I'll have to ask about that. Right now, backpacks are not a focus, but that doesn't mean that we can't sneak it in somewhere. I'll keep that in mind. See what our options are. Hanselo Dolo asks, what kinds of technical challenges did you face when trying to increase those horde sizes? So it turned out it was easier than we thought. The problem was, like, back when the game was very first being released, we were really, really worried about our performance. We did not want the game to, you know, to just have to get a reputation for performing badly, and so we were doing everything we could to make sure that it was going to be able to run at least fairly consistently at 30 frames a second and not just be an unmitigated garbage fire in that regard. And so I think we pushed ourselves pretty hard to cut things down and make sure that it wasn't going to be a disaster. And at the same time, we knew a lot of new people were going to be joining the franchise. I mean, we had, I think, 4 million players really early on, whereas the original game was only ever played by 2 million people. So half the people playing our game had never played our game before. And so if we were going to err on one side or the other, we were going to err on the side of making the game easier to play. And so smaller hordes kind of helped us on both sides. But then once we actually looked into it, we realized we had enough systems in the game that were working hard to make sure that the number of zombies didn't get ridiculous and that the performance wasn't tanked by the zombies, that actually we could increase it a little bit to the degree that we did without suffering too many problems. But you know, it took some time to, you know, get to raise those numbers and then get the testers to run through the game quite a bit and just make sure that they weren't seeing performance spikes and problems from those numbers. But it turned out it was less scary than we thought it was, and I'm glad that it's working out for you guys. Let's see here. NCR Ranger, I can't really answer any questions about the Trumbull Valley DLC. I feel like just by using it as the answer to some of you guys' questions, I might have revealed a little bit too much. And the reason for me not to reveal too much is because we don't actually know the answers. We're trying things right now. We're still in the stage where, you know, almost anything we're doing, we could decide that it's not working and we could cancel it. You know, not cancel the entire project, but just say, oh, never mind, we're not doing this thing we thought we were going to do. And so we can't publicly share any of the stuff we're working on because we still need the freedom to be able to cut things we need to cut and change things we need to change. And if we announce too many details early on, it's, you know, people take announcements like commitments, like promises, you know, and so we don't want people to feel like we've promised them something that we didn't deliver. So can't really say too much. Oh, I got a visitor in here, but you guys, it's not our guest. So we're just gonna quietly pretend they don't exist. So Smexy Blackman asks if the Trumbull Valley DLC is going to be in Trumbull Valley. I think that I'm confident saying that we can promise that. Yes, the whole point of the Trumbull Valley DLC is to be in Trumbull Valley. So I will grant you that one. That is probably the one question about it that I can really answer. Oh, the Gleaners need my help. Oh, that's right, the Gleaners. They wanted. Oh, thanks, Nathan. The Gleaners wanted me to bring them a... Where did I even go? Why am I over here? I'm just wandering randomly while I'm talking to you guys. Okay, let's head back. And maybe if we've got a generator in our inventory, maybe we can bring it to the Gleaners and keep them as our friends. There's my favorite base, the Bridge Fort. Some of our earliest concept art was of that base. I gave Lisa, says when they launch their game, there's blue everywhere. I'm not sure what you're talking about. I'm not sure if you're seeing like a problem with textures or if there's some other issue, but the place you want to ask that question is actually at support.stateofdecay.com, because right here while I'm playing the game, live on the stream, I'm not going to be able to figure out exactly what your problem is, but we've got our guest last week was Joe Swarner, and his full-time job is receiving the messages from support.stateofdecay.com, and he has a much more intricate knowledge of all the different bugs we've faced and all the different problems people have had across the world playing our game. And so he's going to either be able to tell you things you can do to try to fix the problem locally, or he might even, he might be able to bubble that problem up to us. If it's something that he can't help you fix, then he can write a bug for us, and one of our programmers who knows about how to fix graphics issues can probably look into it for you. Nathan Wolf, I can't answer questions like that. Sorry. So many questions I can't answer. Hey there, Optimus Narkle. Sorry, let's see here. It is really hard to keep up with the chat. I like people out there who are extremely good at just watching their own chat while they're playing the game, answering every question, acknowledging every person. Like, I try. I practice. I've got my own stream where I try to do this stuff. I try really hard to make it work, and I am bad at it. And so I apologize to anyone who is trying to interact with me on this thing and is getting frustrated that I'm not answering their questions. So Gaming Forever, so part of my job is to help manage the process of deciding what fixes we're going to put into the game. And so we definitely have some fixes that are kind of famous, not famous, favorite requests from players that we are working on right now, but we can't say what any of them are because what if we fail? There have already been several player-requested features that we've looked into where initially it seemed like, oh, this will only take us a couple of days to make this. And then we look into this, we're like, oh, no, that will take 2 weeks, and we don't have 2 weeks. And so I'm going to be cautious, wait until we're really ready to ship this thing before I tell you what the fixes are, but we are still working on fixes to the game. And a lot of those fixes are motivated by requests that players have made. We usually, like when we've got when we figured out which people here at the lab we can devote to solving bugs and adding features to the game. First we look at, well, what are these people good at? What will they be the best at fixing in the game? And then we look at, among the things that this particular programmer is good at fixing, which are the most popular requests? What are the things that players have been asking for the most? And then among those, what are the ones that we can actually do in the time that we have? And so that means that certain ones will usually bubble to the top, and we'll try to focus on those. So we try to make sure that we're listening to players and that we're giving them stuff that they're interested in, but that we're also being really efficient so we can get the most fixes into the game, the most dramatic fixes that we can with the limited time and resources we have. Because we also have to devote a lot of resources to building things like new DLC and major updates to the game that like the difficulty increase, for instance. That's a lot bigger than fixing bugs and solving minor issues. And it takes a lot of people and a lot of effort. And so because we're working on that, I've just got a handful of folks that I'm working with to try to fix bugs with the game. Oh, Optimus, of course we fail. We fail all the time. Everyone fails. Okay, so get off my car, you jerks. Get off my car. Okay, so wait, what is the best way to go up here? So I go this way, and then I turn left. Yeah, all right. Just right says, there's a glitch in State of Decay. Oh my gosh, that is like the understatement of the year. Oh man, there's no one who is more aware of the amount of glitches in State of Decay than I am. It's such a huge part of my job to be aware of those. But we are doing our best, and we really, value you guys in our community, and we really want to give you the experience you're looking for from this game. And so we work really hard trying to make this weird and difficult and expensive game as good as we possibly can. Optimus, you are extremely sweet. Nightmaker suggests that we should have a gravesite for Lily Ritter. But why? Lily Ritter is alive. Lily Ritter is one of the few people in State of Decay who is definitely not dead. She's super not dead. She is the opposite of dead. She's not even undead. She's just not dead. Got a lot of folks asking about new vehicles. Vehicles are particularly expensive. I've heard this request a lot, even just today, and maybe I should give some more context to it. Like, vehicles are hard to build. It's not as simple as just modeling a vehicle, because vehicles have physics to them, right? There's a lot more that goes into it than just making the art. Like, you've got to make the thing bounce around as you're driving. You got to make it feel right. And that takes a lot of time and effort from a lot of different people. I mean, there's artists, there's coders, there's designers, audio people, and a lot of testing that goes into every single new vehicle. And so among the art items we could add to the game, vehicles is probably up there at being, among the most expensive to add, which is one reason why we don't add them trivially, why we don't just throw new vehicles into the game at random, because they're just so challenging. There's a lot of effort you have to put into them to make them work. So who is it I need to talk to? Is it Michael? I'm on it. Maybe it's Gary. Okay, I'll help you, buddy. Maybe it's Florian. It's Florian. Hey, Florian. Here's a generator. Are you guys our friends? Oh, you're our friends. That's cool. Nice. Oh, okay, so we've unlocked combat resupply. So the Gleaners are now providing combat resupply. That's awesome. So that means that I've got this now. So, well, let's just see here. Do we have the... Yeah, we've got the resources. So I'm guessing they just told me about a a cache of supplies that they already had lying around, because obviously they didn't have time to drop that off, because they're standing right there in the base. Whatever. It's video games. I designed that feature, so I can't complain about it being unrealistic. Okay, this was not a good plan, though I'm really glad it's the Jeep and not some other car. Okay. And by Jeep, I of course mean completely unbranded off-road vehicle that does not reference any real-world vehicle company. So, okay, Take Bradshaw is asking, what about... Oh, am I stuck? Am I going to have to use the stuck thing on the air? Oh my gosh. What? No. Ah. Fine. Gotta hold my position to the degree I can. So, I'm trying. So, really, why did we put this here? This is the worst place to put things. Okay, I gotta have a talk with, like, Brant or Luis or somebody. I don't know. What? Why is that there? We gotta give Brant some crap when he gets in here. This is not a good place. Okay. Cool, so we got a bunch of crossbow bolts. And now I can't get out. So Greg Reed, the only thing more expensive than any other vehicle is motorcycles, because they also would involve new animations we've never had before. Okay, so this car is in bad shape. I need gas. So, okay, there's a gas station that's pretty close. I think I can get there. Oh, get off my car, you jerk. So one request we've gotten is something to tell you when a zombie's jumped on your car when your map is open. And we seriously looked into it. And the problem was, because like every other time you're getting attacked and you've got a menu open, what we do is we close the menu. But closing the menu when zombies attack you in your car would just be obnoxious. But we haven't built any other things in the interface, like I don't know, a big red tint on the screen or anything like that. And memory for UI art is so precious. Adding some big piece of UI to tell you that there's something hitting your car while you've got any screen open that's filling the screen, for just that one case, it just felt like I would be eating up all this memory for not that big. What was I? What did I? See, that should teach me to talk. I shouldn't be talking, because then I forget what I'm doing. And I forget that I was here to go to a gas station. I would have made it, but instead I passed the gas station trying to talk. Anyway, so motorcycles are like that, though. It's like we love the idea of motorcycles, of course, but they require a bunch of new, their physics has to be handled completely differently. They need a bunch of new animation, a bunch of new character behaviors, and we just don't have room. We couldn't add that, no matter how much we wanted. Because just we would have to sacrifice so much other stuff or put so much effort into condensing what we already have that it would be too expensive. Like it's the kind of thing that you try to, if we were building a new game from scratch at some point, that's the kind of thing we could think about trying to figure into our plans and budgets. But right now, trying to add it would just be, it would be huge. It would be an enormous effort that we probably just would have trouble justifying. Gaming Forever, I thought that I was going out at a higher resolution than 480, but I can't promise you that because I make mistakes all the time. Okay, so this is a problem. That wasn't very helpful. Okay, let's see. All right. Oh, and hey, thanks for saving that bolt for me. Venom, there is no flamethrower in the game, and I don't know what you're asking. Why can't a player have more than 2 headquarters? The player can't have more than 1 headquarters. So if you've managed to get 2 headquarters, I'm actually pretty impressed. But it would try. It does feel like sometimes it feels like people come to our game, and a lot of times they're looking for like a larger scale strategy game, like a game that. Oh, hey, Brant.
Hello.
A game that lets them have a community of 50 or 100 people and multiple bases and just this big crazy scale. And we didn't really build this game for that. We built this game to be more personal, for you to invest more in the individual characters. And there's a lot of really great games out there that are about managing, large-scale communities. I mean, I'm a big fan of Frostpunk and RimWorld, and there's tons of games out there that are really good at doing exactly that. But our game, we've put all of our effort into trying to make something that works at the scale that it works at. And so the chances of us, trying to support something the scale of 50 people and 3 bases and multiple communities is just it's a little big, right? And it would require us to restructure everything about the game to support that, which would actually make it harder to support the experience that we actually were going for, which is the smaller scale thing. So, oh hey, Tag, sorry if I lost track of your comment. Oh, color schemes for existing vehicles. So theoretically, that is something we could spend time on, just if we find the right people to do it. The thing is, it's hard to deliver that, right? Like we could, if we added a bunch of different color schemes for vehicles, you'd get it trickling into your game very slowly, maybe as you moved maps, and you might notice it or you might not. And if a lot of people aren't going to notice something, it's sometimes hard for us to justify spending the time on it. Just because, you know, if people are going to feel like, oh wow, the thing you just added to the game completely changed the way I'm playing the game now, that always feels like a more attractive thing for us to add than something that's like extremely subtle and only the super hardcore who've seen every single car and every single paint job will notice it. That doesn't mean, of course, I mean, you've seen the Wizard van. We definitely are, you know, still adding more vehicle skins into the game, but it's you know, hopefully the effort that we're putting into the other features that we're adding is going to be appreciated too. So Brant is here. Brant is going to be our co-host, and our guest, Robin Crew, could be showing up any minute. I told her anytime between 1:45 and 2 she could show up. So this is going to be her seat, and I'm going to move that screen so that I'm just off by myself over there. But yeah, actually, what I should probably... So I'm here. I ran out of gas and had to walk to a gas station and then didn't pick up any gas. And I got this car, which is... Oh, that's completely out of gas, too. So
you can turn the wheels back and forth, though.
Yeah, that's true. I was really... So it looks like I haven't completely searched this place yet.
What's up, P1? What's up, everybody?
Backpack. No one wants a backpack. People want gas. It looks like we probably already scavenged the gas from this, but we didn't scavenge the mini-mart, so it looked like there was gas here when there wasn't. Well, there's a car over here. Oh, this Maximilian's got gas, but it's right next to a...
Infestation.
An infestation. Well, that is the kind of adventure that we're here for. So I've been doing a terrible job of following the chat. So anything you want to add to the conversation, Brant, with your ability to read while doing other things?
Optimus, the paper doll and customizing, yeah, it's always a desired thing. Jeffrey was talking a little bit ago about UI and things like that. Oh, geez.
That's what I needed. That's what I needed right now was that guy.
You needed a little bit more juggy in your life? Is that what you're saying?
Yes. I need more jugs in my life.
I
sure.
said juggy.
Sure you did. I still remember the Man Show. Okay.
Yeah, the doing that system correctly would be would require a whole new system on several new systems actually, including sort of a revamp of how we do UI and
how we build our characters. Right now, all of our characters are completely baked in. Those characters aren't being put together at runtime. All of those models exist on the disk somewhere, and so you can't just swap their pieces. We would have to restructure all of our characters from scratch.
Not all clothing fits all characters, and you know we can if we build the system from the ground up to do that. Yes, we can certainly do that, and
it feels like the kind of thing we might consider for a future iteration in the franchise, though no promises.
Yeah.
It's the kind of thing that we might think, oh, people really asked for this a lot in the previous game. So maybe this is something that's worth investing in when we rebuild the game from scratch in the future. But for right now, simply adding it would be really, really difficult.
Yeah, you're not. I honestly don't think you're ever going to see it for State of Decay 2. It wasn't plumbed that way. We don't have the infrastructure, and we spend all this time trying to optimize the game so that it runs smoother than it did when we launched, and we've done a lot to do that, but adding new stuff back in is really not in the cards, especially something that's that huge. It's not to say we don't want it. It would be cool, right, to find clothes and change your character's clothes or maybe sew some clothes or whatever, but it's just not going to happen for State of Decay 2. I just don't see it.
Okay, so we've been following up on the Builder Legacy, so maybe we should switch to be Chris here. Oh, right. I forgot. There's a siege. Strangers have appeared at our home. Talk to Will. Oh, I don't know if we want these strangers to show up while we're right in the middle of a siege. I've never done this, starting the Builder Legacy while there's, zombies attacking the base. Okay, fine. Who am I talking to?
Han Solo, that's the same, it's the same sort of system. Modding weapons would be the same set of problems and challenges that that doing paper doll for characters would be. And in fact, it would probably, if we ever do a system like that, hopefully we'll be able to leverage whatever technology we come up with to give you customization for as many things as possible, or as many things as we, you know, think are reasonable for the type of game we're making.
So Robin should be showing up any minute because we're supposed to start real soon.
Yeah, P1, if you can't get your legacy to start, you may have to, one of the things that I know you can do is do what you can to get rid of one of the enclaves, right? Isn't that one of the tricks that they use to, you like go kill an enclave and then...
Oh, maybe so, yeah.
But that's also a support.statedk.com.
Yeah, that's the place to go. Hey, Robin's here. So I'm going to... Are you an inverter or a normal person?
Invert.
Invert? Yes! Haha, Brant's in the minority today.
I am.
Okay, so I'm in your seat.
Oh,
So
gosh, okay.
we're going to set up for the actual way we sit during the stream.
Okay,
So feel free to take your seat.
cool.
We are on the air, so be aware of that. So in about 5 minutes, 6 minutes, we're going to start the proper stream. So this is, for those of you who have not met her yet, which I think is all of you, this is Robin Crew. Let me adjust your camera, because I think it's sort of
Okay.
giving you way too much headroom.
Oh,
So I hope you don't mind playing the game. I just kicked off the Builder Legacy, one of the later missions in the Builder Legacy. And so we can play through that while we're chatting.
cool.
So we got Robin over there. You can see Brant's going to be watching what you guys are saying and answering people, and I'm going to be hiding most of the time, reading stuff that that Megan says. So the way it's going to work is we're going to go dark in about a few minutes, and then we're going to start with the real proper stream, and I'm going to do the intro and everything and introduce you to people. So.
Cool.
But for those of you who are already here, that's Robin Crew. She is in QA here at the lab, but she is also a comics artist and is involved in a lot of other stuff besides just working here. And so if you guys have any questions about QA, about comics, about art, about whatever you want to learn about, feel free to come up with those questions. Megan's going to be watching the chat, funneling questions to me, and we can get to know Robin.
Cool.
So. And we'll also talk about other stuff. We've got a community event that's coming up this weekend that we're going to chat about. We've got a, oh man, where did I put the pins? Well, I don't have a sample pin to show you. We're going to do a giveaway. We're going to give away some State of Decay pins, and I don't have one. So, it's too bad.
Everyone knows what our pins look like.
Hopefully, everybody knows. We do have, we've had at least a couple people in our chat who, they're new to the game. They started playing 2 weeks ago.
That's awesome.
So you and I spent a long time doing streams for State of Decay 1, where literally it was 12 people watching us who had been playing State of Decay 1 since it first came out. So we get really used to the idea that our streams are just for folks who've been playing the game forever, but there's still new people coming in. And
Death Hour says Brantman and Robin and Jeffrey the Joker.
Brantman and Robin. Nice.
She's the real superhero. I'm the one who walks around and gets her tea.
Can that just be our new team name now?
Yep.
Yeah,
But
Brantman
now
and
you have
Robin,
to make a
right?
comic about it.
Yes, I agree to this.
Okay.
But I have to be, my only superpower is that I always just go eat tacos while you actually take care of the problems. I'll be like, I'm going to go to the taco van and you fight the bad guys. I'm going to be over here.
That's a pretty good power.
Okay.
I wish I had that power, but I guess my power is supporting you being able to go and eat your tacos.
Basically protecting my back while I eat tacos. I like this.
Okay, so I just got a last-minute note from Megan about stuff that I'll be talking about. I'm updating my notes. So, yeah. So anytime you want, actually, you can start
Oh,
playing anytime you
okay,
want to.
cool.
Really, you are on the screen. Like people can see what you're doing
Oh
a little
boy, got Juggernaut just hanging out there right away.
bit. Yeah. Oh yeah. So we're in bad shape. So I ended up starting the Builder Legacy mission where you get all the recruits flocking to your base during a siege.
Oh god.
So that was really stupid. And but I think that's over. I think it's mostly quelled. You've still got a mission going on though.
Looks like there's about to be a lot of zombies around here, so.
So in 2 minutes, we're gonna start the proper stream. And I gotta fix this hair situation. This hair is looking okay. Like, there. Oh wait, no. Oh, perfect. No, wait, no. Hold on. There we go. That's how it should look. What do you think? What do you think, Brad?
Hair is just an amazement to me. It's such a novelty.
It's just a miracle. So Venom wants to know, has anyone killed a Juggernaut? Definitely someone has.
I have in my regular testing, like, especially when you're looking at whatever new hordes are on screen, or just trying to find like spawning issues too, like especially if multiple Juggernauts are spawning at once. So that's always fun.
It's always good. Leon, I'm not jealous over Jeffrey's hair. I haven't had hair in 35 years, so
I actually have trouble imagining Brant with hair. Like, it would be like just a different
it
person.
would be very disturbing.
Just get like a cool wig and come in and
For Halloween a couple years ago, I went as Severus Snape, and so I couldn't find his hair, so I just found some rocker hair. So he was like a younger, well, no, not younger, but a more like punk version of Severus.
I feel like you could do a full-on punk version of Severus Snape. That's probably a thing somebody does for Comic-Con or something like that.
I have seen these things at Comic-Con many times.
Yeah, I actually, my favorite cosplay is cosplay that mashes something up or does something weird and new with a character. I mean, replicating a character is a challenge in and of itself, and I'm not disrespecting that, but doing something bizarre with a character that really makes you stop and think, what did you do? Is always pretty impressive. Okay, it is 2 o'clock, so let's, we're going to go dark for just a second, and then we're going to come back and start the real show. So, see y'all in just a second.
Is it still going right
It's
now?
still totally
Okay.
going, but
I
no, so
should
we're- so
probably
we're just gonna
actually
be-
switch the controller.
We have to do quiet, so Jeffrey has a lead in for.
Oh, are you already? Oh,
I accidentally selected like the wrong one. Here.
oh, okay, gotcha. So does that feel okay? Okay.
Yes,
So they can
that's
still
better.
totally hear us, but that's fine. So let's just be quiet for 5 seconds to make the editing easier. Hello, welcome to the State of Decay 2 stream. I'm your host, Jeffrey Card, but let's stop looking at my face and look over here, because we got Robin Crew. She is one of our QA testers, but she is so much more than that. She's also a comics artist and does lots of cool stuff in many creative industries. And then next to her is some guy who wandered in who seems to be named Brant.
Who are you?
I don't belong here.
So, so we're right now. I've just started one of the later missions in the Builder Legacy before handing it off to Robin. So she can pursue that mission. She can also just run around and kill zombies, whatever she feels like doing. If you guys have any suggestions, that's great. Also, if you guys have any questions about doing QA in the game industry, questions about the comics industry, questions about art, questions about getting jobs in all these places, Robin is a person to ask.
I've done a lot of work between different industries and just sort of like art fields too. So I feel like, oh my god, these are a lot of people.
I just recruited some folks for the Builder thing.
If people have questions regarding that, I can definitely help on those types of things.
So, just starting with you, like what were you doing before you came to the lab? Like, tell us a little bit about where you came from when we found you.
A lot of freelance actually. So there is a few years where I was just doing work at Comic-Cons and stuff like that, where it would be like I'd be promoting my own like book projects, other people's book projects too. I would be taking on work for different clients, so making art assets for like some startup companies as well as indie projects. Just kind of like a lot of general stuff like that.
Is there a lot of stress involved in being a freelancer? Because it feels like
Yes.
the worst times in my life are the times I had to go to job interviews, and I feel like you're always interviewing for your next job when you're freelancing.
You are, and it's a lot of just kind of like trying to manage your own business too. So you're wearing a lot of hats when you're doing freelance stuff. So you need to know how to like manage your own like money and be able to write contracts. Jeez.
And we're interviewing Robin while she's trying to kill zombies, which is doubly impressive.
Oh boy,
Oh,
look at that.
look at all these friends.
There's increased horde size, I believe.
Yeah.
Yes,
That's. Wait, what mode are we?
We are playing the game that
The
is out
live
there,
game.
out in the field, but we did
Okay.
our last update did add increased horde sizes. and
Okay,
this is a
yes.
very advanced community, and so we're going to be getting the hardest of everything.
I just want to say too that the new modes that they're adding in are really fun. I've been
And-
enjoying those a lot too.
And that's all we can say.
Yeah, that's all I can say.
Joe
but I
said the same
promise
thing
they're
last
really
week.
good.
So yeah, people have been asking a lot about the upcoming DLC, upcoming updates, and we haven't been able to answer any of those questions, and that will continue. We're not going to be able to answer those. So you can ask all you want. We're not going to be able to give you solid answers until we're ready to announce stuff. But that isn't going to be too long because we did say that we are going to do a lot of important stuff this year, and so if you stay tuned, you will get answers to your questions. Just probably not right now. Bilbo wants to know, do you do a lot of traditional art, or are you all digital?
I used to do more traditional art, and I want to get back into that. But currently, I do a lot of digital. So I kind of work between a desktop computer that I built, as well as using a Surface for when I'm kind of just like on the road. Especially since when I was doing more convention sales and stuff, I'd frequently be on a plane. So when you're traveling that much, it becomes a lot easier to have tools that you can just use whenever. Oh, look at this car. It just became a lot easier to have digital to work with.
That makes a lot of sense. I've heard that the artists that I know usually say that one of the best things for developing skills as an artist, even when you're already a professional, is to just always be able to be drawing all the
Yes.
time, right?
And that is true to an extent, but I also think it's really important to be able to pace yourself because burnout is a super real thing. And I'm sure anybody who's works in whatever field, you guys know how that can be, especially when you become like a workaholic or that sort of stuff. And it's just really easy to get caught up in your work. So just kind of knowing how to pace yourself when you want to be able to take a break and
Yeah.
just not burn out.
It's a real skill to be able to know when to say when. I certainly worked way too much in this industry, like just trying to make stuff better. But at some point, your returns are lower, and then your home life, if you have one, is suffering.
Yeah, it's always, you always feel like, especially when you're young and you're new and you've got a lot of energy, you feel like, well, the main thing I can do to stand out is I can do more than anybody else.
That's a really easy trap to fall into as well. And there was a recent discussion on Twitter that I was following where people were talking about how easy it was to fall into that, especially since like you hear a lot about like age difference and energy when you're comparing like 20 to 40 or whatever, but that's also really true when you're comparing like even 3 years apart or so. Like I have definitely like experienced like a lot of like energy level changes even with like small years, and it's easy to think that like part of that is burnout and it is, but it's also definitely like attributed to aging and stuff too, and it's just knowing how to take care of yourself.
It's so weird. I used to really pride myself on being able to get up at 4 or 5 in the morning if I needed to come into the office early, and now getting myself to get up before 7, now that I'm 40, is just like ridiculously hard. And I don't feel like I changed, except that I just don't have energy anymore. It's weird. Optimus Narkill wants to know about the comics that you've worked on.
So a lot of the comics that I've done have been more like smaller, like zines and things like that. Wow,
Wow,
that sure is a cliff.
That's actually really well done. I'm kind of impressed at.
Oh, there we go.
Hey guys,
You're gonna smash those guys too.
I can.
Oh,
I've gotten out of situations like this before without the radio command.
yeah. Before the radio command got in, it's like. So I imagine you probably had a lot of experiences where you're trying to test one bug, but some other part of the game interferes. Games like this, where it's just all about different systems colliding with each other, that's got to be just crazy for a tester.
Yeah, so there'll be like points like this where like you're trying to like work on one thing, and then I feel like I'm getting really distracted too by trying to like talk and do things at the same time. So I'm definitely performing terribly right now. I'm sorry to everybody.
That's okay. And if at any point you want to hand off to Brant and switch, that's totally fine too.
But oh gosh, like some of the bugs I've encountered, like I feel like some of the weirder ones are always like revolving around like physics or cars.
Yeah.
You mean our real world perfect physics?
Yeah. are just super great physics. Oh, what are you doing here, dude? Oh. Hey. Oh, I thought.
He's like, oh, by the way. Oh, hi.
Because I've seen a thing previously when testing where it would try to play like the animation for the Juggernaut, and if you pulled up the debug, it would show that it was attempting to, but he would just stand there and chill. And I thought that's what was happening for a moment there. And I was like, oh my god, did I find something during stream?
I mean, see,
Worse things have happened.
Juggernaut was taking our advice and just relaxing, knowing when to say when.
Yeah.
It's important.
Yeah, exactly.
Even for the Juggernaut.
Nightmaker wants to know if we have favorite character models in the game. Outfits for the characters, or...
I like the weird animal hoodie dudes.
That's kind of the... Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. The donkey might be my favorite.
I seriously think we should stop making games and just be a hoodie company.
Yeah, there you go.
Because Susan, the person who made the clothes, is brilliant.
Yeah, no, the stuff that she came up with is just insane. It all started with, we had this one character with a shark hoodie in the first game, and now we've just got this tradition of the weirdest hoodies that people could possibly have.
I think that you need to just, like, come in one day just, like, wearing that, or, like, get some State of Decay cosplayers or something, just, like, have, like, the hoodies and...
Well, some people have actually made the hoodies. Somebody made several people made a really good shark hoodie.
I want one.
Yeah, I think our former production director actually had one, which is pretty fun when she'd wear that in the office.
Yep.
So we did collect some questions from social media. Let's see here. Oh, so Hyrule Haven Hero wanted to tell Robin, you have an impressive and tough job, Robin. I'm impressed.
Thank you.
So I actually am curious. When I read his question, made me think, like, what surprised you about doing QA when you got into it for the first time? Like, did you have illusions about it before that were shattered, or?
Well, like, I know, like, as a teenager, I was always like, oh my gosh, is it just like, you're just playing video games? And, I mean, as you get older or more experienced with games, you understand that that is not the case. But a lot of, when I first started testing games, came from, like, smaller projects. Oh, hey, buddy.
And don't worry about getting my characters killed. It's everyone's favorite thing that happens on the stream.
I'm sure everyone will be very, very excited for that to happen.
But anyway.
But yeah, so a lot of testing has to do a lot more with discipline, I would say, than just enjoying it. So, like, when we're testing stuff, we'll get, like, a list of, like, here's different passes for checking the health of the game. I'm just
So-
distracted with this man.
That's fine. So when you talk about a pass, is that like a particular route you follow through the game, a series of steps that you do to make sure that something's working?
Yeah, so it'll be like it'll have questions like, does XYZ work? Does everything function properly? And then you have this list you go through, and you check off whether or not the item in particular is functioning. So if you have something where it ends up failing, you end up writing a bug down on what's going on exactly with that, or how you found the bug in particular.
Yeah, it's easy to find bugs, but the
It's harder to fix them.
hard to like figure out why they happen, and we rely on these guys to give us as much info so that we can actually figure out what's truly going on.
A big part too is I think that a lot of people assume that QA is the people that fix bugs, where it's more primarily our job to find stuff like that. So
And not just find it, but like thoroughly document it so that
Yes.
we can just drop right in with a bug you've written for us, and we know exactly what to do to make it happen again, to test it out, and to find the problem, find the solution.
What's the biggest crisis you found in QA? Crescent Empress.
like biggest crisis.
Yeah, like Game Breaker or something like that.
I know that one of the bigger like game breaking issues that I've run into was there was a whole thing with like there was like something in the install where it was like that flighting test thing where you
Oh my
couldn't.
God.
Oh, geez, hi.
Wow.
Feel free to focus on the game if you want
Wow.
to.
That is a welcoming committee.
It truly is. But there was like an issue with. I'm gonna hand this over to you. So I
Okay.
can
Yeah, go
talk
for
better.
it.
Where it was like a certification from like the Microsoft Store where it was like, oh, you can't properly install this. Like you don't have like the correct licenses, and it's like, well, we're the company. We own this game. Why don't we have this? And like, it's weird because I feel like I also sometimes see discussions where people will be like, oh, well, this model is being weird. This breaks the game, but it's like that breaks immersion, but not necessarily the game. So like, we're first finding things where it's like it stops the game from playing, or just shuts everything down, or you can't even launch it. So like that's kind of like the first thing we look for, and sometimes
Yeah, like
install stuff.
I know that there was a programmer who was just talking to me this morning about the fact that at one point somebody had found an issue where people literally couldn't join multiplayer games, and it was a really scary sounding bug. But it turned out it was when somebody was using we have a system that allows you to use text chat under certain circumstances. It's an accessibility feature.
Right.
And if somebody was using text chat, the game when it tried to tell when a client would be trying to come in and join their game, instead of trying to join the game, it would be trying to join one of their chat messages, which is not a game.
I mean, it could be a game if you try really hard.
Yeah, exactly. And so it was completely breaking the game, and it was coming from a weird part of the game where you wouldn't imagine that in advance. Like when you're working on the text chat system, you're not imagining you're breaking multiplayer.
Yeah.
You know, and so the person who's working on the text chat system, they're not testing to see if multiplayer is going to break something.
Right.
And so it takes someone like you going through an elaborate checklist, which, you know, you read the checklist and I imagine you're like, oh, that looks like the most exciting thing I could ever be doing with my day, right?
Right.
But if you don't do it, we don't find that stuff, and then people can't play the game.
Right.
So, yeah. So it's a big deal. Other questions that we have include, let's see here. So Lee Stevens wants to know if we've seen the issues with vehicles apparently duplicating and exploding at players' bases.
Yes. that is my favorite bug, and I'm so sorry to everybody who's gotten that.
I especially love when they don't explode and they just end up on top of each other in awkward
just
positions.
chilling.
They're just like they're cuddling or cuddling to cuddle.
Just car snuggles. That's
Yeah.
it.
So yeah, I think we should call it the car snuggles issue, and it sounds like something we shouldn't fix. It sounds like a feature.
It's
That is definitely a feature.
Yes, absolutely. I think my favorite video of it that got submitted to us was there is somebody playing on Twitch, and I'm not sure what language they were speaking. It was not English, but the bug just happens, and then there's like an abrupt like what the fuck just in the middle of that, and it's like yeah, that's fair. I would feel the same way about that.
So I assume we've documented it, and at some point someone's going to try to fix it, but we might not even know what's causing it yet.
Well, I actually was looking into that issue on Friday, and I know a few people are too, but it seems to be really difficult to reproduce that bug. I know that we're talking about it's possibly has to do with like calling in vehicles, but we're not entirely sure yet. So we've been playing around with like different cars and different scenarios, and part of that is also like checking through like similar situations for when those bugs have been submitted. So like when you guys do submit bugs, oh no! But when you do submit bugs, if you have as much detail as you can about like stuff like this is the map I was on, here's like where I was on the map as well, here's like a mission I was on, like that gives us more information and makes our jobs way easier.
Yeah, so I put on the screen the link to support.stateofdecay.com, which is where you go if you have bugs that you want to report. And so those really do go to our test department. Joe Swarner goes through every single one of them, and the ones that are new that we need to investigate, he passes off to the full test team, and we try to give them a real try. Because one of the big problems that we have is sometimes we can know that a bug is real, but if we don't know how to make it happen on command, the programmers can't set up situations, because we have tools that let us look at what's going on in the game and figure out what went wrong when a bug happens. But if we can't force the bug to happen, if it just happens seemingly randomly and no one knows why,
that's when it gets a lot trickier for us to work on and do like that whole like mystery solving.
Yeah. And that's one of the issues, like the reasons why we need like highly skilled test departments is because that's what we rely on you guys for, among other things, is to find us those repro steps so that we can make a bug happen.
Otherwise, we are
on command.
lost.
Yeah,
we are utterly lost.
Absolutely.
All right, I'm going to switch out because I took a lot of van damage with
Van damage? Damage to the van you were driving?
Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Oh, Van Damage. Right.
Come on now. Oh, hey, what?
So
I have like 30 people in my base and they just let that guy walk in? Come on, people. What are you doing? Nobody's here.
So
this is a little creepy now.
We got a couple questions from social media that I think I can answer. Stephen Irizarry asks, can you recruit the people in the zombie slaying enclave? Their outfits are amazing. So that's another vote for somebody's favorite outfit. We've got this one certain enclave that's got unique outfits that nobody else gets, the zombie hunters. And right now, they are the only ones that have those outfits, I think.
Love that enclave, too.
They're really cool.
I love the missions that I gotten with them. I remember like they were like one of the first ones I ran into when I was testing here. I'm just like, what are these cool dudes? I love these. Is like everybody like this? And they're special.
They have like zombies on chains and things like that. They're doing all this weird stuff.
You just walk in, it's like, oh, these guys they're sure having a fun time with whatever they're doing in here.
Yeah, so we had to make them non-recruitable because they had a lot of unique dialogue. And the way it works is we've got 14 playable voices for our characters. And so each time we added a line for a playable character, we had to record it with 14 actors.
Oh,
and, multiple sessions down in Los Angeles. And it was really expensive and really difficult. And so when we wanted to add a bunch of new dialogue to make these interesting new enclaves like the cannibals and the zombie hunters, we had to add a bunch of dialogue that we couldn't give to all 14 voices. And so our lead writer devised a scheme where we could come up with some voices that didn't have to record as much dialogue, but you couldn't recruit them and you couldn't play them. And so we had to make that community, that enclave, unrecruitable so that they could have dedicated voiceover lines to tell their story.
That makes sense. I tried very hard to recruit them. I couldn't, I'm sorry.
But that doesn't mean we can't conceivably make another Enclave that uses those outfits. And so I've made a note, since I got that question, I made a note that maybe that's something I can look into to see if there's a way we can get those outfits onto recruitable characters somewhere in the game. But those outfits are also very exclusive, and they're not on every face, and they're not, they're very limited. And so it takes some gymnastics to make it work without a bunch of errors. So give us some time, but that's a worthwhile question. Another one, Dion Baptiste on Twitter asks, what caused the bug that makes stealth characters continue to move automatically while crouched? Did you see that one?
Yes, that thing drove me nuts, but we figured it out. But so it looked like it was like a setting where when you were crouched, it was supposed to be like the speed is set at 0. Someone accidentally set it at like 0.5 or something. So you'd just be like constantly like sneaking around and just.
Yeah, I think that it kind of came from the fact that I believe that the stealth movement and the regular movement were made by different people at different times. And so they kind of were constructed in different ways. And so at one point, we had to make a change to the way we had a bug that people were complaining about a lot where they couldn't get their characters to walk. They were either standing still or jogging. They would just jump straight into it.
I ran into that later, yeah.
So I think it was the fix to that caused the other bug. Because whoever fixed the issue with people just jumping to jogging with never walking, they moved the threshold for when characters walk, and it worked great for normal walking, but they didn't check stealth, and stealth was built differently, and so when they moved that threshold, stealth was just like, I'm moving all the time! and that was it.
And like that's like also like something that you sometimes run into when you're working between like multiple programmers, and it's like another reason that's all the more important for testing, because different coders have like different ways of working on stuff, and then it's easy to accidentally gloss over like a small detail like that somebody else had put in there.
Yeah, I've run into so many problems where like I introduced a change that I thought was just a very small change and it only affected one thing, and I tested that one thing and I'm like, yay, my change works, and I check it into the game and everything's fine. And even the initial tester who's assigned to check it out, they check it out like, yes, this looks okay. And then it's another tester 3 weeks later who realizes that I broke something really on the opposite side of the game that I didn't realize was connected. And so if we weren't running like ad hoc tests and we weren't going through these checklists, we would miss so much stuff. And when it happens, it's not really anybody's fault, right? It's just part of the nature of the beast.
These guys just gave me free food. I am really skeptical.
It's poisoned.
It's like, what are you doing?
Is it the mystery meat?
No, these are decent people.
Oh, what? Oh, her name's Hipper. I like Hipper.
Oh my god, no, that reminds me too, but like one of my favorite things about doing like QA stuff is just seeing like the weird names that you guys put in. Is that you? That's you?
Mostly me.
Right there.
I
Right
ran
there.
into somebody last week on an Enclave named Sans, and I just like took a screenshot of it, and I was like sending it to other QA people and be like, oh my god, he made it into the game. I can't believe Sans is here.
I think that might have actually been a request by my children, because they were super into Undertale when we were working on this.
Well, like the character had a hoodie and everything too, so I was just like, oh my god.
Yeah, so there's somebody on our Facebook page, John Paul Strange, I think is his name, who posts all of his favorite characters, and he exclusively recruits characters with cool nicknames. And so I keep getting to see characters with these names posted up there. There was actually one that came out recently where I had put, I think I might have already told this story on the stream, I'm not sure. I had put the first and last name separately of one of my friends in the game industry into the game, and somebody had posted, this is one of my favorite characters, look at his awesome stats, and that first and last name had come together again on that character. And so I got to post it to my friend on Facebook, say, look, you got into the game! And he's like, I can't even put myself in my own games! So it was a rare opportunity.
Oh,
It seems to be the rule, though, that the people who it is really their name never see them.
Oh yeah, like somebody I think in the chat earlier asked if we could put a character in the game named David White, because that was like their grandfather's name or something like that. And I'm like, yes, there is a David White in the game. The name David is in the game, and the name White is in the game. And if you just keep rolling for literally ever.
well, I know that they also like scam some people into the game too for like the face
faces.
models, and I was one of the people who did that because I was like, oh my god, fun. So I've been joking with my friends. I was like, yeah, you'll just play the game and find me with a gun just hanging around in there and just
Yeah, it is fun when I think there's a guy who's with the he used to actually run some of the streams that we did over at Microsoft, and now he does a bunch of other like media stuff with Microsoft. His name's Ricari, and his face is in the game.
Oh, yeah.
And so whenever he's promoting State of Decay, like he always ends up running into a character that's got his face on, and he's really impressed by it.
It was a lot of fun at PAX East last year. He came up just when somebody was playing his character. I think it was actually Fallout Girl was playing his character, and she got him killed right in front of him while he was watching.
So Nanode wants to know, speaking of vans, what was the inspiration behind the Wizard van, and can we expect more Wizard-related content in the future?
Yes, we're switching over to a full fantasy Dungeons and Dragons
just
style.
give everybody like a cool wizard outfit.
Wizards
just
versus zombies. That actually...
Make the zombies tiny dragons.
Tiny dragons.
Tiny dragons.
I like it. Oh, there goes the door.
I was cracking up when that van thing was announced for us to test, though. There's just like, all right, holiday content. It's a wizard van, and I'm just like, it's a wizard what? But that art is so fun, and I personally like appreciate like the really goofy stuff, like the van, and then like the weird zombies that you can find, especially like when you're working on playing this for hours a day to like find weird stuff that you're trying to test for. When you eventually like run into something that just like is more out of the norm and just makes you laugh, it just makes going through your day like a little bit more enjoyable. So I appreciate the wizard vans.
Magic Man 79 says, I have way too many vans on my map from those missions that spawn vans. Is there any way to get rid of some vans?
I mean, you can crash them, but
yeah, I understand the concern. Like, we've got all of our missions that spawn cars. If you just ignore them for a while, they will spawn 1 million cars.
oh,
And it's a problem, and we've been looking into possible answers. The problem is that there's no easy answer to it. Like, every solution has got some terrible cost to it. So we're still working on trying to figure out the right answer. But it's difficult, because each time a mission spawns, it tries to spawn everything fresh, and it's not really aware of what it did the last time it tried to spawn.
because I feel like the default answer I'd want to give for something like that would just be like somehow like being able to keep track of what car is spawning when, and then like have a despawn limit for specific cars after a certain point in time. But at the same time, I don't code, so I don't know how horrible that would be.
Well, no, that makes sense. And so like, we have talked about maybe having, if whenever a new car is added to the game, trying to get rid of an old car. The problem is it's hard for us to know which cars the player might care about. Because, I mean, if a player drives a car, if they put stuff in a car, we know they probably want it. But if you were just constantly losing cars because we were invisibly spawning cars somewhere else, like, we can imagine all of these downsides. And is the downside worse than the current problem? If we don't know, usually we're going to err on the side of, like, not changing it, because what if we make it worse? Because you've seen it happen worse. Like,
I've seen so much with the cars.
let's see here. Living Echoes asks, speaking of dialogue, have you guys added any new dialogue recently? I've noticed people saying some new things recently.
Yes, that has made me so happy because I don't have to listen to like the same lines. There's been a new audio that was recorded, and like I started noticing some of that being implemented into some of the stuff we were testing. But
yeah, I think basically each time, because all of our characters are recycling voices all the time, each time we go into the recording booth to record new stuff, we have an opportunity to just flesh out, some of the characters and record some of the lines that we had to skip or cut last time. And so I know that Andy has been staying on top of that, and each time we get the opportunity to record new stuff, he tries to weasel in new variants of lines and sneak more stuff in. Yeah, no, he's weaselly, but in a good way, He's a weasel like you'd want a weasel if your life was full of snakes, right?
Wow.
So our life is full of snakes, and Andy is the weasel who gets rid of those snakes.
Nice. Good save. Good save. All right, so there's not one but two juggernauts.
have fun.
What's that?
Have fun.
Yeah. And I got somebody who's not good at...
So KNT asks, which new Enclave bonuses have been added since the Z Hunter update? The new ones I found so far are Quick Supply Drop and Bed and Breakfast. There's also a dinner theater one that's kind of like bed and breakfast. Only I think bed and breakfast gives you food and beds, and dinner theater gives you I think it was morale and food, something like that. The thing is we added like 20 or something new Enclave benefits, and so I don't have the list in my head.
I don't have like the full list on hand either, but I do remember like I feel like I've been seeing like more stuff popping up lately with that too.
Yeah, we realized that that it's a lot of work to keep an Enclave your friends, and so we wanted to add better benefits to make it more worth it, so that the time you spend going back and giving
That
them
didn't help.
rucksacks and stuff like that was actually worthwhile.
Oh, good.
So, okay, Richard Rivas has a question for you, Robin. As open worlds become the norm, and I don't know if they become the norm necessarily, but there definitely are a lot of big, expensive open worlds being built out there.
Hit me.
Do you predict bug testing becoming easier due to tools and techniques people are developing to support that, or do you see it just getting more complex?
I think it's like a little bit of both, because like there's definitely better tech that's being implemented to like help out with that, but also I sometimes worry about like when people like bloat their game too much with too many features in like an open world, and I'm sure like people have seen that before where it feels like there's too much tacked on to a game, and then it's kind of like all these things are conflicting with each other, and then it makes it a lot harder to know where to look.
Yeah, it sounds like it's just really hard to stay ahead of just because as you add new systems to a game, the complexity of testing it goes up exponentially, right? It's not like, oh, I've added 3 new systems, and so it's it's plus 300% harder. No, it's like plus 3,000% harder.
Because like everything is like reading into each other too, so it's just like extra layers of complexity that you're going through.
Yeah.
And then the next question is it true that developers are the worst like bug reporters? Because we'll like got a bug and then that's it.
I mean, I feel like I don't really hear too much from you guys about like when bugs have popped up, but I think also in general, like if developers and people who are doing QA can be able to like learn that sort of like lingo for each other better to like intercommunicate more, then
I know
that makes
I've been
everybody's jobs
chastised
better.
for my lack of info when I report a bug. They're like, this is useless, utterly, completely useless.
Yeah. When I know that a bug I'm writing is going to go directly to another like designer, I'll sometimes be flippant and weird and silly in my descriptions. But when I know it's going into the test department, I'm always like, man, I don't want to embarrass myself in front of these testers. I need to have elaborate repro steps and what I expected versus what I got and
We
all of the
appreciate
format. Because I don't want you guys judging me and telling me that you're not that I'm not a good enough tester. Like I've got to be. I feel like I got to try to do to do the real work. If I'm gonna be acting like a tester and writing bugs, I got to do the work like a tester. But it's a hard job. It takes like you said, discipline. Like if you were building a tester character in State of Decay, discipline would definitely be your wits specialization.
Nice.
Maybe resourcefulness too. That's a pretty good one. So the Witch King had a quick question about State of Decay 2. He asks, this is a guy on Twitter, he asks, can the game in State of Decay 2 last forever? Can you just play one community indefinitely?
I mean, technically you can. Like, if you're just like, my legacy? These blood plague hearts? You can just keep, like, going. But, I mean, of course, like, missions will keep spawning, and it just kind of depends on how you want to play the game, especially since, like, a lot of these open world games do kind of emphasize, like, making your own experience with what they give you.
Yeah, so like if what you want is an experience where you're trying to just last as long as you can, then the game will offer that. But if you're looking for a sense of accomplishment and completion and getting prizes for doing things, ending your game is probably what you want to do. It really just depends on your playstyle. And
the main catch with, like, if you just want to keep letting missions spawn, too, is, like, eventually, like, it can wear on you. And, like, there's other open world games that I've played before, like, testing, and, like, I would just keep doing that, because it's like, I just want to keep enjoying the game, and then it got old eventually, and so it's really, like, your mileage may vary with that sort of stuff.
Yeah,
No!
especially if you really like a game and you don't want to get tired of it. Definitely try to play in a way that avoids you getting tired of it. Because I've done that too before, where like I've just loved a game and I wanted to play it forever, but then I played in such a way that I made it more difficult for myself to enjoy it long term. So you've got a broken weapon and a crossbow, and you're trying to deal with the. You got to get in that car. Use the fire. Oh, you're just trying to get the crossbow shot in this guy, are you? Mm-hmm. Well, good luck. It's a good thing I don't have a huge investment in this character. So one thing I wanted to bring up, by the way, is we've got a community event that's going on. Well, it's not quite going on yet. It starts officially this weekend. It's called Undead Trials 3. You can imagine it is the third of the Undead Trials events. And I think that Megan can probably pop the link to the registration into the chat. But basically, the idea is it's open to everybody. So if anybody wants to sign up, it's people need to sign up to join a 3-person team to play State of Decay 2 Daybreak. And basically, you spend 4 hours with your team trying to rack up as many points as you possibly can. There's a bunch of rules. If you go to the registration site, you can see what the rules are. You can track it down, I think, on the Discord. But basically, there's a bunch of different ways you can play Daybreak and accomplishments you can do in Daybreak that will win you points. And you're just trying to spend 4 hours getting as many points as you can. And whoever wins wins a bunch of stuff, like a State of Decay T-shirt, I believe. And I forgot what all of the prizes were. There's prizes. Then the whole team wins prizes.
I'm gonna give original art again as prizes.
Well, there you go.
Oh,
Original
cool.
art from Brant is one of the big prizes, and there's going to be 3 winners this time, and so you got your work cut out for you.
Yep.
But if you register today, because today is the last day to register up until midnight tonight Eastern time. If you register today, you also are in a drawing for a prize just for registering.
Nice.
So follow the link that Megan's going to put in the chat, and if you want to be involved, you don't even have to be particularly good at the game. Just get on a team and help your team out, and try to do all the crazy stuff in Daybreak that you can. So, and thanks to Derek Blaze for setting that up. He's usually in our chat. I don't think he's in our chat today, but he's been such a huge leader in our community, setting up these events and supporting them. That definitely, if you're at all interested, go check it out. Go follow the link and see what it takes to get involved.
I think she needs a rest.
And speaking of prizes, in about 15 minutes, we're going to do, at the very end of the stream, we're going to do our giveaway. So if you know some trivia about the weapons in State of Decay 2, stick around and see if you can win a State of Decay 2 pin. So with that talked about, one thing I wanted to mention, would you something you want to show us?
There's a question. With everything that's being added, will there be new achievements as well?
Yes. So each time we do a major update to the game, we're allowed to add several hundred points of new achievements, and so we try to take advantage of that every chance we get. In fact, I just finished finalizing the official data for the next dose of achievements we're going to drop. I didn't write this set of achievements. That went to, I believe, it was a combination of people. I think it might have been Henry that did a lot of it. Anyway, the point is, I just finished entering a lot of the data. There's a bunch of new artwork from Doug Williams illustrating the achievements. So I'm definitely looking forward to sharing those. Partly because whenever we put a stream up on YouTube, the thumbnail for that stream is based on Doug's achievement artwork. And so I'm just really happy to have more achievement artwork to draw from to make those thumbnails. So
I gotta see like some of the new achievement art today, and I love everything Doug makes. I just want to say.
Yeah,
So-
his achievement art is fantastic.
he comes up with the most disgusting things to draw pictures
I
of.
love his stuff so much.
There's one achievement that I believe is called a pound of flesh that's upcoming, and he just made a box full of flesh. No particular kind of flesh, just flesh.
So that's
Squished up.
That's actually Doug's forte. is
just making things out of
flesh.
meat.
Yep. Anything that's meat related.
So maybe you know what? Maybe I'll go grab that piece of art and use it for the thumbnail for this video. So if you're watching this on
Yes.
YouTube late, go check out the thumbnail for this video. I'm betting it's a box of meat. So I don't think.
No.
So we've got later on, I think in a couple of months, we've got Emerald City Comic Con. It's hard to say Emerald City Comic Con. Emerald City Comic Con coming to Seattle, and I believe
yeah.
that you and Wonder are involved.
We're doing a thing. I don't know how much detail I can say about it at the moment, but we're doing a thing for Comic Con, so
So if you
keep an eye out
guys,
for that.
yeah, so if you guys are in the Seattle area and you'd like to hear more from Robin and from our communications director Wonder, who I think a few of you have seen on the stream, keep your eyes on the programs and the plans for Emerald City Comic Con because they got some thoughts to share with folks.
Make this guy into a porcupine here.
So yeah, one thing that I definitely made sure to do was put your Twitter handle there on your name tag, Robin.
Oh, boy.
So people can track down your stuff because a stream is not the best place to share things like comic art and stuff like that, but I really wanted people to get a chance to sort of look you up. And so if you
cool.
guys check her out on Twitter, she's got links to all of her stuff, and you can find out what she's been doing and
Lots of cartoons and talking about cartoons lately. So
which is
very
great. One of my
exciting.
favorite things. What are some of your favorite cartoons that are out there right now?
Oh man, like I'm really into like shows like it ended already, but Gravity Falls is probably like my
Oh, yeah.
favorite.
I keep hearing about that, and I
Watch it.
don't have TV, so I need to.
Internet.
I'm gonna have to go do that.
Is it
'cause
on? Is it on like Netflix or Hulu or something right now? I'm trying to remember.
It's
I
not
think
on
it's-
Netflix.
I think it's on
know.
something.
It's
Another one I want to watch that people have said is great is Steven Universe.
yes. Don't look it up on social media because there are spoilers everywhere for that right now. But that is a very good show too.
Okay, cool.
My kids and I just finished watching Voltron, the new Voltron, which was brilliant. Because my 4-year-old loves it because he's like, lion rockets, like that's all that's all he knows is going on. But then my daughters who are older than him are also super into it because because the story is really good. It's accessible to kids, but I was also fascinated. I needed to know what was happening, and it was just it's a really cool universe too because it feels like science fiction. It's got the slick robots and stuff, but it's also fantastical and magical. And only occasionally do they have just ridiculous science things that drive me up the wall, but mostly not. And I actually used to work with one of the people who's on that team, and I didn't realize it for a long time until I saw her name in the credits, and I was like, "That's what she did after she went and did this? Holy crap!"
I have that moment too because like there's a lot of friends of mine who work on like Netflix shows and stuff. So like we'll be like sitting there just like watching a show and they'll tell me ahead of time like I did this, and then it's like you still know that their name is coming up in the credits, but there's still that moment of, oh my gosh, I'm so proud of my friend as soon as you see that.
Yeah, I know, exactly. I think that this friend that I used to work with, her job was, because you've got a bunch of different artists who are all contributing, and I think part of her job was establishing the look of the cartoon and making sure that everything was consistent in all of the, and just basically sort of like creating kind of the style guide is what it sounded like her job was about. And that sounds like such a cool job.
Like those like reference Bibles and those kind of things. It like seem like a lot of fun to work on.
Yeah, it's like So man, there's just so much there's so much good stuff out there these days. Like when I was a kid, like I showed my kids the original Voltron.
They were like, "Ew,
Oh,
Dad."
yeah. They're like, "What is this?" I was like, "That was as good as cartoons got back then."
So
and
true.
it was weird and crazy, but but that was what we had. And there's a great moment, and I think in the last season of Voltron, where they imagine that the original cartoon is a cartoon that was made by the people of Earth within the world of Voltron, and so you have like Pidge, who was the weirdest character on the original Voltron, is watching the cartoon and watching the absolute weirdo that their character is on the show, and is just sitting there like, this is amazing, and they're just absolutely loving it, and they start doing impressions of the character to like to everybody else.
It's good like when you see that stuff. It's like like the animators and staff are just like having a good time with it. So
Yeah.
I used to watch Marine Boy.
Marine Boy. What is that?
That's before most people's time, and
Yeah.
you can almost it's hard to find reference
Marine like the branch of the military, or Marine like the ocean?
like the ocean.
Ah, okay.
He was
gotcha.
a kid who swam around underwater, and I think he had a dolphin friend, but he could chew gum that let him breathe underwater. But
I wanna see this.
he also had a boomerang that worked underwater.
So I used to watch was it Silverhawks, which was people who wanted to go. They needed to explore this area of space that was called Limbo, but the only way to do it is if you were a cyborg for some reason, and so they like replaced their body parts with these like robot bird parts, and then sent them into space, which is full of supervillains. And it made no sense.
It sounds like normal space.
Oh my gosh, it was incredible. Megan wants to know if she can share Reslin.com with folks.
Yeah, go ahead. It's sort of like a sloppy looking website that I threw together with the help of a friend, but I just put up like comics and stuff as I do them, and just illustration stuff up there. But go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. So Megan's probably going to post a link to that in the chat. We'll also post a link to it in the doobly-doo when we put it on YouTube.
Cool.
And yeah, so you guys should check it out. I've checked it out, and like your comics are really neat looking.
Oh, thank you.
So. I didn't feel bad about saying it out loud in case you weren't comfortable with it, because no one's going to guess the spelling from the pronunciation.
I've had people spell it and say it really weird, and I fully understand, so it is okay. I once went to a con, and they had listed me as like Resolene instead, but it was like completely different spelling. Like they didn't copy and paste it, and so like I had like a photo of that on Twitter for a while, and everybody was like spelling it like that and calling me like the Con Goblin. And
yeah, so well, I actually at one point wrote a novelization for a movie, and they spelled my name wrong on the title page, which was awesome. It was, I mean, at first it was distressing, and then I realized, like, how often does that happen? Who gets a story like that, right? So I decided to feel good about it. So I'm going to kick off our giveaway real quick, and then we got some more questions coming your way in a minute about comics, Robin.
oh, cool.
But first, let's do the quiz. So, hey, everybody, I hope you know your weapon trivia for State of Decay 2, because we've got a question. So this is for, we're going to give away 3 State of Decay 2 pins. Are you guys ready? The question is, name the AK-47 variant with a 150-round magazine. And there's a qualification here. You've got to actually spell the whole thing right. Because Brant and I were on a podcast. We were on the Blaze Experience podcast. And people were spelling it wrong. And that can't be done. You've got to get the name of this exactly right. So we're only counting correct answers that spell it correctly and don't get half the words wrong. So we're just going to move away from this while you guys are starting to throw answers out there. And basically, if you got the right answer, then you'll be entered into a drawing, basically, one for each platform, one for Twitch, one for Mixer, and one for YouTube, and you might get a State of Decay 2 pin. So the question is, so Jesse Baker wants to know, what's your favorite comic book? Do you have a favorite comic book?
There's a lot. I feel like my favorite comic series is probably Doom Patrol. I love the old Grant Morrison run, and the Gerard Way run right now is like so like. I love it. I love it so much.
I didn't read a lot of comics as a kid, but that was one of the few that I actually read, and yeah, it was so surreal. Like I feel like it sort of opened my mind and made me realize, like, oh, you can, you know, it's not just standard superhero fare. Like, you can do really, really, really weird things.
Yeah, like I started getting more involved in comics when I was in junior high, and like indie published graphic novels. There's like some that I was like finding at stores and libraries, and is becoming more available to me than like standard like superhero stuff, which got me more interested in reading comics and eventually like making my own. And from there on, I was just making a bunch as I was growing up.
Yeah, I love it when and sometimes my kids do this too. Like when a kid first discovers something, and the very first thing they want to do is make their own. You know,
yes.
and you want people to maintain that throughout their lives, not just do that as a kid, but like, you know, and you're one of the folks who actually has done that, where it's like you get passion for something as a kid, and then the first thing you want to do is make your own, and then you just keep doing it, and that can become something you really do as an adult.
I get really excited about just like making comics about characters that I think up, and I'm just like, yeah, I want to do that. Like
why not do it, right?
My first comic was a ripoff of Garfield, but it was talking parrots, and my mom keeps being like, why don't you make that into like a whole graphic novel now? It's like, Mom, it's just Bird Garfield from when I was like 10. I don't think people want Bird Garfield.
So yeah, my 10 now she's 11. My 11-year-old daughter has been trying to learn to animate using apps, and so she makes like these the stuff she makes. It's kind of like Don Hertzfeldt. it's actually giving me a window into her disturbed psyche, which is a lot of fun. But yeah, it's I don't know. Kids can do some pretty impressive stuff. Like, you don't have to just wait till you're an adult to start trying to do meaningful things. You can do stuff when you're a kid that maybe it's not the stuff you want to publish when you're an adult, but all of that forms a foundation for the things that you end up doing, right?
Especially like in this day and age when having access to learning like new technologies through the internet is like so accessible. So like you can teach yourself how to animate or how to do like sequential art or all of this stuff so easily.
So, are there any comics that are like ongoing right now that are sort of not necessarily your favorite of all time, but maybe something you think people should check out?
Oh my gosh.
Just too many to choose from?
There's too many. There's so many web comics out there that are really good.
What's the first one that popped into your head when I asked that, though?
Like, the first one is, like, everybody knows Cucumber Quest already. That one
I don't think I know Cucumber Quest.
You should read that.
Well, now I need to look up Cucumber
Quest. Like, there's that.
My favorite was Appleseed.
Appleseed is good.
Way back in the day.
Oh my gosh. Trying to think of, like, other ones, because, like, I know so many people with books out there, but just everything is kind of overwhelming.
All right, well, we've got the answer to the quiz, and so let's jump over there real quick. Let's see here. Okay, so first off, let's see the answer. So the AK-47 variant with a 150-round magazine. Brant, you want to say what this is?
The Eternal Guard's Infinite Rage.
The Eternal Guard's Infinite Rage, exactly. So we had a lot of people putting up various random spellings of that, but a subset of folks got it exactly right. And so the winners we've got are on Mixer, Zork with a 0 for the O has won. On Twitch, Crescent Empress got it right, and on YouTube, Death Hour got it right. So congratulations, you three. You're not the only ones who got it right, but among all of the people who threw the right answer out there, you guys are the ones that got drawn, and you're going to get State of Decay pins. So Megan will get in contact with you guys, figure out how you're going to get those prizes, and thanks for knowing the answer, because that makes us feel good when people pay attention to our stuff.
Let's see, this guy's a powerhouse, so he needs a... There we go.
So I know, like...
looks like a Sailor Moon wand from here.
That does?
It sort of does.
That's the completely fictional monogear bike axe. This is what it looks like.
See here. All right. So Swag Cheesehead wants to know if you've heard of right.
Nice.
Okay. Wants to know if you've heard of My Hero Academia.
Yes, I love My Hero Academia. President Mike is such a good character. Like, all the characters in that show are good. Just
my sister is the anime enthusiast in the family, and so she like points me towards the things that I have to watch, and so I haven't actually picked up that one.
You should. The character All Might in there too is probably like one of my favorite fictional characters.
Yeah.
He's just a really good dude. It's like impossible to like not like him. I mean, I'm sure that I said that, and somebody in the comments is going to be like, "Well,
I hate him.
I don't like him." What are you talking about? So there's that, but it's such a good comic series. It's such a good show. But yes, please watch it.
So my sister and I have been catching up with Attack on Titan, and there's this one moment where the story basically it set up the situation where it's like, hey audience, you could find out all of the secret deep lore of this series, but the way to do it is to kill off the main character. And I'm like, and I was literally like, I have no idea which one of those I want you to do. Because at one point I'm like, oh, we could save the main character because we care about the main character. But I really want to know all the lore. Can we kill off the main character so I can find out all the lore?
Well, I remember too, like, when I first came into the office, I think I was asking people about like I want to know more about the game, and then like I came to you and I was like, tell me more about the lore of State of Decay. So I know we're both kind of in that area where we're more invested in the lore of what's happening and the world building.
Yeah, it's so weird how like that becomes sort of like the reward for participating in a piece of media is that you get to find all the secrets. And like I'm reading a Brandon Sanderson's Stormlight Archive books right now, and the way he sets up his series is he's got a certain amount of lore revelations that he's got ready to go, and he's hinting about them the whole time. And then each book, at the very end, he drops some lore on you. You're like, yes, thank you, Brandon, for giving me what I came here for. But Stormlight Archive is supposed to be like a 9 or 10 book series. And so he's got 9 or 10 books worth of lore he's teasing me with. And I'm like, I don't know if I can take it. I don't know if I can read all of this and just one book at a time get my lore drops. Like, I need it faster. Can you intravenously feed me Brandon Sanderson stuff? But
there's like shows like that too, where like the channel will be really weird about like how they pace out releasing episodes of the show.
Two?
Yeah.
Great. Oh, this is not good.
This sounds like a great way to end the stream, is to watch you just get everyone killed.
This is a cool party.
So we've got, okay, you've got firecrackers, so... this is going to go fine.
I'm fine.
So
Everything's fine.
Did you just flashbang the zombies? Is that why they were all standing there?
I guess.
So Bilbo says he likes the idea of a lore pinata. Kill off main character to harvest all the sweet
There
lore
you
that pops out.
go. That's a great plan.
Bilbo at one point really wanted to know what kinds of comics you draw. Like,
So
I mean, they can go to your site, right, to
Oh,
find out
yeah.
the details. But like, let's hear the kind of thing you do.
So I really like like a lot of my stuff is
Yeah,
like super cartoony. But then like I
my
also
God.
have
What?
I have influences like around like horror and surrealism too. So like one of the books that I'm working on right now, it starts off sort of like influenced by like very like cutesy like Halloween themes, and then like gradually moves more towards like 80s horror influence.
Oh
So
yeah,
just
like slasher movie type 80s horror.
So
Or maybe we don't want to reveal anything.
a little of that, some more stuff as well. Like it'll come up on the website as it comes up. But so there's stuff like that, and then there's like
Holy.
another comic that I did that's just completely based off of it was when I was in college, and it was after being up all night for studying for some test or whatever, and then I just made comics about like whatever came to mind, and it just weird surreal humor came out of that too. So like I just kind of like doing stuff like that.
That sounds awesome. So, okay, we're running out of time, but seriously, people, go check out Reslin.com and follow her at Reslin on Twitter. In fact, let's put this thing up here on the screen so you guys can see. So, what they're looking at right now, yes, is your face and your name tag with your Twitter handle underneath it. And and thank Robin for coming on here, because she's a fascinating person, and I'm happy that we get to get to know a little bit more about what she's been doing in her career, and hear about the stuff she's been doing here at Undead Labs. And also thanks, Brant, for taking over playing the game, and
I just discovered that I apparently suck at talking and playing the game at the same time, so thank you.
Well, anybody who came to the pre-stream knows that that's exactly the problem that I have as well. Like, when I start playing the game, what I end up doing is completely ignoring the chat. And so you were at least paying attention to the people and answering their questions.
I see one of my friends in the chat. Hi, Tui. Sorry.
Well, thanks everybody for stopping by and hanging out with us. As usual, we love you. Thanks for taking the time. Thanks for all your questions. Thanks for being nice to Robin.
Thank you for being very nice, everybody.
And we'll see you guys soon.
Yep. We'll see you later. And we will go to the outro screen. But you can still hear our voices, which is kind of awkward, so I should hit the mute button.